Liam's Map. This two-time Grade 1 winner posted 6 consecutive 100-plus buyer figures, including a 1:14 in the Grade 1 Woodward Stakes, the fastest winning time in more than a decade. An $800,000 yearling, he never finished off the board in 8 starts, winning 6. In his final race, this great colt set the track records at Keeneland in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. All this adds up to a world-class stallion at a world-class stallion farm.
Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Matt Byrne here, taking a look at Pegasus World Cup contender Bravazo. Our Pegasus World Cup coverage is presented by Lane's End, and Bravazo, Matt, is a true throwback. He ran in all 3 Triple Crown races in 2018, including a rock-solid second-place finish in the Preakness Stakes. He also finished 2nd in the Haskell, 3rd in the Travers, 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, and 2nd in the Clark Handicap. He comes to play every time, just doesn't win very often.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because he's really grown on me. I think he is, like you say, that throwback type. He just shows up and runs each and every time. He's just run into 1 or 2 that happen to be better than him on any given day. And we've also documented he doesn't necessarily get around the turns all that well. Once he gets into the straight, though, he really rallies on. I think he's a very likable horse, and I think he can do some good things as a 4-year-old.
Let's go back to his race 2 starts back in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, where he chased City of Light, a horse he's very likely to face in the Pegasus. City of Light got to the lead. You see Bravazo swinging widest into the stretch, and as usual, he is gritty. He is trying extremely hard, and he is going to finish 3rd. He bounced back out of that race with that good effort in the Clark, and he is coming into this race off his 2 fastest efforts per date on the buyer schedule.
I got to be honest with you. I really believe this could be a nice year for this horse. I said to you before we came on, he reminds me a little bit of Will Take Charge, probably not quite as talented as Will Take Charge, but at the same time, if you think he continues to improve and he can start living in the mid-100 range as far as buyers are concerned, there are a number of races that he can win. Is this race one of them? I don't know.
How do you think Luis Saez is going to play the break here? It's obviously too early to tell, and at Gulfstream Park going 1 1/8. Post positions are all important. We'll have our post position coverage the Wednesday before the Pegasus World Cup. It is nice to know that we've seen this horse win from mid-pack. We've seen him win in pace pressing fashion. How do you ride a horse like Bravazo? And how do you think his quirks affect him in the Pegasus World Cup? Because you're right. There are times on the turns where he loses ground and then re-rallies in the straight. Can't do that at Gulfstream, I don't think.
You know, we probably should have known that this could end up being a little bit of an issue for him. Go all the way back to the Louisiana Derby. That was when he was basically eased down the far turn at one point, and we couldn't figure out what happened. And that was kind of a precursor to him having issues rounding the far turn. I'm going to go out there and say something a little bit crazy. I don't know if we're going to find out about this in the Pegasus or not. Go back to that win in the Risen Star. That was his last victory to date, and he was up there pushing the pace. I know the pace wasn't blistering. I almost wonder if you think that he has a little bit of an issue on the turn, and you don't think there's an issue as far as stamina is concerned, I'd use him. Try to get him into the race, have him up there pushing the pace, maybe not outright on it, but be right up there. And you know what? If you have a little bit of a hiccup on the far turn, maybe at that point you only fall 1.5 lengths, 2 lengths back, and you can try to rally back again down the lane. That's what I would do. Think a little bit outside the box, but I'm sure the connections are going to do what they think is right with this horse.
Well, the question is he fast enough to run with a horse like City of Light in the early portion? Because you got to think that City of Light probably is going to be the pace setter. Maybe pattern recognition will be close to the pace. He's been sort of a reluctant pace setter in his last 2 races, but we know he's fast out of the gate. I can see Bravazo sitting 3rd or 4th in here. What odds do you think he's playable at? What is a value price right now for Bravazo? I'm not going to hold you to it. We're still a long way out from the race.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think if you look at the way that the betting went for the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, I think that's probably where he'll end up, in that 12-14 to 1 range, because you've got horses like City of Light, who he was no match for. You've got Accelerate, obviously. You've got Pattern Recognition, who you mentioned, Audible. You've got some other big names in this race that will take attention. I think you're going to be looking in that 12 to 15 to 1 range. I don't know that I would love him as far as a win contender in this spot. To me, he is better used underneath in this kind of race. But he is one of the horses I'm most interested in here in 2019 because I think there are races for him that he can win out there.
Right now, I agree with you concerning Bravazo's chances in this race. I think he is a contender. I think he is a stronger contender on the bottom of single race exotics, but I expect this horse to give his usual good effort for the great D. Wayne Lucas. That's Bravazo, one of the major contenders in the Pegasus World Cup. Our coverage presented by Lane's End.